Hi, Karen with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a scrapbook layout for Kitaholic's kits and I'm using the April 22 kit. And oh my goodness, I hope those of you who have this kit this month are having a great time playing with it. I absolutely have loved pulling together layouts for using the Cocoa Vanilla No Limits collection. It is absolutely stunning. Um, every time I pick up a piece of paper, I think that's my favorite. But this patterned paper here, I think this one was called Eclipse. The gradients of blue into that sky type theme are just absolutely stunning. So I'm going to use this as my background today, and I want to create a little bit more of that star Milky Way type theme, I guess you could call it. So I'm going to add in a whole heap more stars and some dimension to the page using some modeling paste. The stencil I'm using is one of the Vicky Booten stencils from a previous mixed media kit, and it was just perfect. I'm randomly putting this around the page, not being too careful with it. I don't mind that things are going to get squashed a little bit while as I'm not drying it as I go. And then when I lifted it all off, I realized I'd even created a bit of a star type shape here as well. So it was perfect how that ended up turning out. And it gives a lovely rough bumpiness to the page as well. Although I do know I'm going to cover quite a little bit of this up, that doesn't bother me at all. I was really just looking to create a little bit more play on that element of the sky. So I'm adding here a heap of white splatters using Dina Wakley's gloss spray in white, and I just love how that's turned out so far. I do add a little bit more later and you'll see that coming up. While that was off drying, I have a bit of a play here on what else I'm going to use for my page today. My my main focal point was the patterned paper and that saying there in that cut apart sheet piece, always be your awesome self. And I thought as soon as I saw that when the kit arrived, I knew I wanted to use that in a layout. So this is just me having a look at what other pattern papers I've got left. I've mainly got scraps left. I have been very stash busty with this kit this month, and I don't have a lot of the pattern papers left. Although I did sneakily buy the kit, the whole collection when Steph had it on pre-order as well. So I do have some extras in my stash, which will probably stay there for a little while. Nothing like hoarding for a little bit. So I'm just having a play here, as I said, just to see where things will sit on the page. And when I brought that back through, I really love the look of that. So I've used that gorgeous stripy, painterly color, pattern paper as well, just to give a bit of bounce off that page, off that white and black tone of the blue tone, sorry. And to give the photo just a little bit more opportunity to sort of sit out and above, I am backing that photo with the Simple Stories cardstock. That is a perfect match, and I just thought it just needed that added extra just to go around the edges. And I felt that that sort of rounded that whole piece off just there. So the other thing I challenged myself to do for this layout was to use the rockets. I think I mentioned in a previous video that I was not really sure what I was going to do with the rockets. I'm not really a rocket type person, and I felt it was quite cartoonish. But I think it works really well here with me deciding that I wanted to create that sort of Milky Way star theme. I thought, well, that's perfect. Let's add these rockets on. So I'm really happy that I did that. I thought they turned out really well on the page. And then I'm going to add in some stars as well to give the page a little bit more dimension, and so things weren't sitting so flat against the modeling paste as well. I am popping all that complete piece up onto some foam. So you would have seen me there gluing the pieces together so I could move as one. And just then, that was me making a little bit of a fix up. That modelling paste was not quite dry, so when I put that photo down and put the foam tape on, I had a little bit of modelling paste over Jacob's leg, so I just needed to fix that. Luckily, it was still a little bit wet, so I could wipe that off with a wet wipe. I was very lucky when it comes to that for that particular layout. This is the only photo I have of this same photo. As you would have known recently, a lot of my layouts are photos from the old days, I guess. So when Jake was little, before digital cameras. So I have a lot of photos that are printed, and that I look at them, and it cracks me up every time I look at them. When either Jacob's not looking at me, or it's a random photo which doesn't have any meaning or whatsoever, or when you didn't have a digital camera that you could just take a photo and delete. Having all of those fun things with these photos that I'm seeing now, thinking you could tell I never scrapped book when he was a kid. There was certainly no planning, no thinking about how photos were going to look in the end result. And but I've decided I'm going to embrace that and move forward. And I am loving working on all the old photos at the moment. It's turning out to be a lot of fun. So because I've made that background quite busy with all of that modelling paste stars, I kept them embellishing to a minimum. Well, minimum for me anyway. It is just a couple of stars on that bottom left, top right, just to give that sort of anchoring across the page. And I'm still looking at this stage as to whether I want to add any more, and any of the banners or anything like that. But every time I put something on, it makes it feel way, way too cluttered. I've already got a lot on this page by now. So to finish off the page, I do add a little bit of the gold Nuvo drops as well. You'll see here I just have a little bit of a play, and I add some water to it to see if I could do some splatters. And it didn't really work all that well. The gold really lost its goldness. I guess that's not a word, but and it made it really cloudy. So I didn't actually end up doing that. What I do go in with is putting the Nuvo drops. I try a couple of times thinking it might have been my brush, but it wasn't. It was definitely too cloudy, and it was really going to dirty up the page, I think. So what I decided to do was just make some dots around the page with the gold, and I really love how that turned out. To also make it as round as they possibly could, I give underneath underneath the pattern paper a bit of a flick to where all those things are, and they beautifully round it out. So that's all of my layout today. Except for I do come in and do some more splattering with some gold spray from Kaiser Mist as well. I will have all the details in the description box below of where you can get this month's kit. There are still some available, so I totally recommend you having a look at that at the store. So I've got some close-ups for you to share today as well. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.